everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope we're all doing well. Let's talk about some baseball scores from last night. Braves over the Twins, 3-0. Had Nationals over the Mariners, 4-1. 7 innings from Patrick Corbin. It's a smidge better than missing the last couple of years. The ERA's been over 6. The ERA's 4.93, so a little smidge better. Still hasn't been that great, but pitched well last night. Reds beat the Orioles 11-7 in 10 innings, score 4 runs. In the 10th, Reds take 2 out of 3 from the Orioles on the road. They are just rolling right now. First place in National League Central. Pirates beat the Padres 7-1. 5 runs in the 7th for the Pirates in that one. 6 really good innings for Mitch Keller, just 1 run allowed. Padres continuing to struggle. Blue Jays over the Giants 6-1. Marlins over the Red Sox 6-2. Brewers over the Mets 5-2. Astros over the Cardinals 10-7. Altuve hit a 3-run homer in a 5-run 8th inning. Got the Astros come from behind. Cardinals bullpen has been really bad this year. Texas Rangers over the Detroit Tigers 10-2. You had the Phillies over the Cubs 8-5. Guardians over the Royals 14-1. Rockies over the Dodgers 9-8. They threw an L from Ezequiel Tovar in the 6th inning. They got 5 runs in the inning. And the White Sox over the Angels 11-5. You had the Rays over the Diamondbacks 3-2. 2-out, 2-run double in the 9th for Josh Lau in that one. And the Yankees beat the Athletics 11-0. A perfect game from Domingo Germán. The 24th time in MLB history a perfect game to throw in. The first perfect game in MLB since 2012, 11 years ago. Domingo Germán has had a really weird year. He was suspended for 10 games for sticky stuff back on May 16th. He had given up 17 runs over his last 2 starts. He gave up 7 runs against the Red Sox, and he gave up 10 runs against the Seattle Mariners. His last time out is and then their perfect game is the only pitcher to allow 10 runs. And his next start throw a no-hitter or a perfect game. He got a wild up and down year, but a perfect game for Domingo Germán. He only had 99 pitches, I believe. So he was dealing. Yankees win 11-0. Steve Cohen had his press conference yesterday. He did it at about 4 o'clock Eastern time, so about 3 hours before the Mets game. And he said that he is frustrated, but he's also being realistic. He has prepared his management team for all contingencies. So basically, he said if necessary, he will sell. Said if he's at the spot where he is now, which is of course 8 games under 500, at the trade deadline, which is on August 1st, he said adding to the team would be silly. He probably wouldn't do much. If they fall out of it, it appears that he would sell. It's to say he would rather not sell. He wants to win. He said at one point, they asked him about being this far out of first place. He said it doesn't matter for 16, 14, 18 games out. This is absolutely terrible. This is not acceptable. He says he gets the fans' frustration. I mean, he's a fan himself. He's a lifelong Met fan. But he said the season isn't over yet. He said he sees some positives, which include Max Scherzer, who's been pitching a little bit better after he had a rocky start. Jose Quintana will be joining the rotation next week. So he's not giving up hope yet. He said manager Buck Showalter and GM Billy Upler are safe for now. He says he basically said everyone wants a headline, fire this person, fire that person, but he says that's not good business. And no one's gonna want to work for someone with a short fuse. And although I've been an advocate for the Mets to move on from Buck Showalter, literally right now, and possibly look at moving on from Billy Upler some point in the near future, whether that's before the end of the season, after the season. He did make a good point. You look at the Mets ever since Terry Collins, who stepped down after 2017. He was there he was the Mets manager for 7 seasons. You had Maggie Callender only lasted 2 seasons. Luis Rojas only lasted 2 seasons, and Buck Showalter looks like he's going to be gone after 2 seasons. And even from a general manager standpoint, you had, after Sandy Alderson, who's now the team president, not handling the baseball operation, but he's like the president of the team. he was their general manager until he stepped down during the season 2018 when he was diagnosed with cancer for a second time. Thankfully, he was able to put it in remission once again. He's doing well. They brought in Brody Von Wagner. They only had him for 2 seasons. Then they brought in Jared Porter, who only was over 2 months. He had off-the-field issues that disallowed the Mets to continue to employ him. They promoted Zach Scott, who was only there for a season. And now you've only had Billy Upper for 2 seasons. If Steve Cohen has only owned the team for 3 seasons. If I'm a managerial candidate or a GM candidate, I'm like, if I don't, I'm thinking if I don't, make the play, have a deep playoff run every single year, I could get fired, within a couple of years. You want a manager or GM to think, I could, manage a ball club to, the playoffs, 2 or 3 years in a row and have one down year and get fired. I want a GM to think I want to, go out there and, bring in all these guys and then just, the players not underperform and then lose my job within a couple of years. So although I'm an advocate for letting go of Buck Showalter, and I'm not sure, and I don't think Billy Upler has done a great job either. I thought Steve Cohen made a very good point there. He says he does want to hire a president of baseball operations. That's been his goal since he took over. He hasn't found the guy yet. He says he doesn't know if it'll be this year or be next year. He is not sure, but the plan is to find that guy. The Mets have been linked to David Stearns, who's currently the general manager of the Milwaukee Brewers, or president of baseball operations for the Milwaukee Brewers. A couple of years ago when everyone turned the Mets down, Stearns didn't really turn them down. The Brewers blocked him from pursuing the job because you can't you can block lateral moves. He was going from president to president. If you got was a GM going to a president, you can't be blocked. That's why, like in the NFL, when a coordinator comes a head coach, the team he's a coordinator for can't block them. They could try to stay, obviously, maybe offer more money or crumbs all right. All right. If you make a head coaching move, you'll be the next guy up or something, but they can't block him. But he's been in Milwaukee for a while. He's done a good job. He definitely been upgraded. The Mets have been playing kind of basically front office roulette for a while. Sandy was there with the Mets for a while. Then he steps down. Then they bring in Brody Von Wagenen. He was a big time agent, and he didn't really work out. Cohen back the team, fires basically the entire front office immediately. Brought in his own guys, and at first it didn't work out with Jared Porter having the other stuff that went on, and then Zach Scott had some stuff that went on. Overall, it didn't do a good job anyway. Then you bring in Billy Epler, who was not their first choice. I heard he was like the 10th guy on the list. He was the guy who was an assistant GM with the Yankees. He was a GM with the Angels for 5 years. Overall, wasn't that great, which is why he got a lot of criticism when he got hired. Why are you hiring this guy? He's not a good GM. He's proven in the past. Only that he's good for is he can handle New York media because he knows how it works. He was an assistant GM with the Yankees before he took over the Angels. So, Cohen said that Billy Epler is aware that Cohen wants to hire a president of baseball operations to serve above him, and he said he's been very supportive of that. So it appears that right now there's a scenario where Billy Epler would stay on as GM underneath the president of baseball operations. Apparently, he looks like he'd be okay with that, but we don't know for sure. But yeah, and also the thing is, he's from New York, so he didn't actually turn them down. So he didn't really say that he wasn't interested, like a lot of those guys did a couple of years ago. I think it was 2 years ago. The statement that he came out was saying, "My family and I are happy in Milwaukee," so that's kind of a wishy-washy answer. But it's kind of up. He's from New York. There's rumors he's not going back to Milwaukee. Yeah, I think he's kind of moved into a different role over there. I believe the GM Matt Arnold, who the Mets offered the job 2 years ago as well, he turned it down to stay with the Brewers. Is kind of taking a little more responsibility over there. So there's a good chance Stearns won't be back next year as the as the president of baseball operations in Milwaukee. And there's a lot of rumors that the Mets will hire him as their president. And they asked him about would he consider trading Max Scherzer or Justin Verlander. He says he has not. He kind of dodged it. Says I have not broached that subject yet. They asked him about he spent a lot of money. Would this prevent you from spending more money in the future after it didn't work out? He says, well, I'm losing. Basically, said I'm losing too much money to be this bad. That being said, you got to pay to get good players. Developing pitchers is hard. Building a World Series team is hard. So he basically said, he would rather not spend this much if he's not 100% sure that it's going to work out. That being said, predicting the future was very hard, and you got to pay a premium to get quality players in this league. So what I got out of it is all right. He said multiple times it's on the players. He basically said, all right, he's not firing Buck Showalter, not firing Billy Epler. Most likely for at any point during the season is what it is. But he says, what I got out of it, he's reasonable. He spends a lot of money this offseason. They have a $344 million payroll, the highest in baseball. One of the highest we've seen in baseball in a while, if not ever. But, he's reasonable. I would rather him, if the Mets continue to slide and they're 10-12 games out of 10-12 games under 500, they're 20 games. If they're 20 games out of the division and 13 games out of the wild card, you're not buying. You got a lot of veterans on one that are free agents at the season. You got some prospects that deserve playing time that are being blocked by them. If they are at that point, the right move will be to sell, and he's willing to do that. So I'm glad that he's reasonable. And also, if the Mets miss the playoffs, there's going to be changes. If the Mets miss the playoffs, Buck Showalter is not going to be the manager next year. If the Mets miss the playoffs, I don't think Billy Epler will be the general manager next year. This team will look very different. There'll be a lot of guys a trade at the deadline. They'll make major moves. They'll bring in David Stern as their president of baseball operations. They'll go out and find a new manager. And the team will look very different next year. Overall, what I got out of it is that although he's frustrated, I really think he was holding back a bit. I think you could tell. It felt like some questions he not seemed like annoyed, but a little irked. I think his PR team told him, I know you want to go out there and I know you're pissed off because you want to win and you spent all this money and you want to win more than anybody. But it's not good business to go out there, on a live stream that God knows how many people are watching and just absolutely rip the team. Which I think he wanted to do, but you could tell some question was like, kind of give some wishy-washy answers at times. I think he was looked like he was about to say something, but then he heard the PR team in the back of his head saying, "No, don't do that." So he kind of had to pull back. So what I got out of it, he's frustrated. He's not happy where they are. The players need to be better, and he's not being unreasonable. If they continue to sink in the standings, and they have to sell, and the right move would be to sell the deadline, he will do it. He will do it. He wants to do what's best for business, basically. All right, with that, Antwerp draft was last night. That there were some compelling picks. You had obviously Connor Bedard, as expected, 17-year-old phenom, went number 1 overall to the Chicago Blackhawks. You had that kid Fatuli or something, whatever his name is, Fatuli. A lot of people thought would go second to Anaheim. He went third to Columbus. Anaheim took the kid Leo something out of Sweden. My Rangers got a good pick. The kid 23rd overall, forgot his name, some foreign name. I heard he's a really good player, the playmaker. Guy who probably should win a little bit earlier in the draft. So I'm happy about that. Star General Manager Jim Neal wins General Manager of the Year. He's Stars when we're in the conference finals for the second time in the last 4 years. He's been since 2013. He's built pretty much that entire team. At the trade deadline this year, he went out and got Mason Marshman and Colin Miller. Last offseason, he signed again Dadonov and Max Domi. In 2017, he had a killer draft getting Jason Robertson, who's turned into a star, Amir Heiskanen, who's turned into a really good defenseman, and Jake Ottinger, who's our starting goalie. In 2015, he drafted Drew Pence, drafted Wyatt Johnson 2 years ago, who's a young player who took a step forward here, was really good in the playoffs. Most of his team he built himself. He's done a good job there to build something very nice in Dallas. He wins General Manager of the Year. Pittsburgh Penguins make a trade. They acquire Robbie Smith from the Vegas Golden Knights for a 2024 third-round pick. Vegas is right against the cap, so that's probably a salaried-up move. So Kyle Dubas, who parted ways with the Leafs, their longtime GM, became the president of hockey operations with Pittsburgh. So the front office change, getting rid of GM Ron Hextall and then Brian Burke, their president of hockey operations. A much needed change. They go out and get a really good player. Obviously, last year, 26 goals, 30 assists, 56 points. He's a really good player, and he's a little bit younger. Pittsburgh's a much older team. Crosby, Malkin, and Chris Letang. A lot of these guys are in their mid to late 30s now. They get a younger forward and Robbie Smith. That's a really good first move for Kyle Dubas to make. The Golden Knights extended even Barbashev. He gets a 5-year extension worth $25 million. Last year, 16 goals, 29 assists, 45 points. They probably figured they want to resign him. They got to move a contract, and they decided that contract was Robbie Smith. So that's what they did. And the Blackhawks also acquired Josh Bailey from the New York Islanders, a little 2026 second-round pick, probably a salary dump by the Islanders. So Chicago's been making moves. You make a trade with the Bruins to get Taylor Hall, who's a very good player when he's healthy, former MVP. You also get Nick Foligno, who's much older but still a solid depth forward. You give up the rights to two restricted free agents, and then I think you throw in a prospect, and then you make it trade the Islanders to pick up a veteran forward in Josh Bailey, as well as an extra draft pick. I said future considerations go the other way, so probably like a later on draft pick or something. So Blackhawks are a team that's got a lot of cap space, and they're taking advantage of that by calling up teams who they know are in cap hell and need to dump some salary, and saying, all right, we'll take on we'll take on some salary. You give us a somewhat quality player, and we'll help you out. We'll give you some younger, cheaper players, or some prospects, or some future draft picks. And obviously, they just got Connor Bedard, who will definitely be on their roster day one. For basketball, the Minnesota Timberwolves declined their team option on Taurean Prince, which is worth $7.4 million. So he hits the free agent market. The Clippers did not guarantee Eric Gordon $21 million salary, so he hits the free agent market. Gordon's been around a while throughout his career, 16 points a game on 37% shooting from three. He's a free agent. The Bulls are nearing a deal of Vucevic. They're expected to finalize re-signing him to a 3-year deal worth $60 million. He's a really good off-the-line center. He's a guy that can give you like 24 and 10 every night. It looks like the Bulls will be re-signing him. And the CBA has been finalized. So the CBA will go into effect basically when free agency starts in about a week. On to the NFL. The Patriots extended receiver Devontae Parker, 3 years, $30 million. He's a solid second-third receiver. Pretty good deal. Trying to keep as many weapons around Mac Jones as possible. It appears there's a lot of gambling suspensions coming. The most notable one is Isaiah Rodgers, the Colts corner, who got busted pretty bad. He expected to get a year, and then apparently there's some other guys who are getting busted as well. So we'll see what happens there. And J.J. Watt will be joining CBS Sports. He signed a multi-year deal to be a studio analyst for CBS Sports. He, of course, just retired from the NFL. He will very, very soon be in the Hall of Fame. Right, I'm going to have a bit of a schedule change coming. Tomorrow, I'll be going live probably at 3:30 on Twitter Spaces. That's the plan. But starting Monday, my schedule's changing a little bit, so I'm going from that for the next about 5 weeks, starting Monday until about probably the second week in August. I am only going to be going live on Saturday. So we'll do kind of like a weekly recap. I'm gonna see if I can try to get some guests on here, make it a little more exciting. But that's the plan going forward. So this Friday, tomorrow, you'll see me live on Tour Bases at 3:30 Eastern time, and then of course if you're watching on YouTube a little bit later. And then for the next 5 weeks, I'll be going live on Saturdays. What time? I'm not sure yet. I'm going to finalize that tomorrow, so I'll tell you guys that tomorrow. But until tomorrow, so long. Have a great day.